Pulp MX Network production.
EVS Sports brings you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Here's your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EVS Sports LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer from MotoOnline.com, Phillips from Vital MX, joining me once again to discuss all the fun of moto and non-moto alike throughout the world. This is episode 26 or 27, Lewis. We're deep into the season. We're 25 rounds of SMX in, and you are trying to beat the heat every weekend, and this weekend you're trying to beat the travel. But how are you, good sir?
I'm okay, Kellen. How are you?
I'm doing swell. I didn't have as much travel issues as you, so I think I'm doing quite a bit better in that sense. But are you okay? Yeah. Is everything all right?
No, I'm still recovering. Almost blew my brains out. Almost lived in Washougal forever. Then almost lived in Atlanta forever. May never get on a plane again. May never be the same again. Wave goodbye to former Lewis, because this was a life-changing experience, and the rest of my life is now fucked because of it.
So I was confused, and I was trying to ask you about where you were, because you said at one point on Sunday that you were on a flight and you were sitting next to Evan Ferry, I think, and then you said, "Oh, now I'm screwed and I'm going to be stuck at the airport." I was trying to ask you where you were. So did your original flight leaving Portland get delayed, or did you get stuck in Atlanta? What's the deal?
It was all fucked. Everything was fucked. Just, hey, Lewis, your flight fucked. Fucked.
Okay, so everyone always does the Delta versus American versus United. How was Delta support for this?
Well, I never spoke to someone because I just used the app.
But were they good, like when you were trying to change flights?
Well, I think the app started having problems because so many people, but I did okay.
We're back to Lewis having thumbs up.
That must be new this week, because there's no way that this has never happened before, and now suddenly it won't stop doing it. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure it's an Apple thing, by the way.
For audio listeners, my screen just did a thumbs up animation. No, it was terrible. So my final flight after my connection, I had 6 attempts that were cancelled while I was at the gate lining up to board. So the last minute they were cancelled. The 7th attempt, I got on the plane, huge breakthrough. They came on and said, "We've lost our pilot. We don't know where he is. By the way, if this flight doesn't take off," this was Monday, 1 o'clock p.m. "By the way, if our pilot doesn't show up for this flight, the rest of the flights today have been cancelled, so this is our only shot." Sat there for 2 hours. They found a pilot. Hey! Flight goes to take off. Really sorry, the plane won't start. We don't know why. We're waiting for a technician. Don't know how long this is going to be, but we hope for the best. An hour later, the plane starts. And honestly, Kellen, this is why my life will never be the same again.
So a lot of riders had issues getting to the track on Friday.
Well, I had that too, Kellen.
I understand. No, because you were already there. You were there Thursday. But you did have the delay leaving Wednesday, so yes. But this was before the whole outage thing that happened Friday morning. On the way back, I heard a lot of riders also had flight cancellations and stuff. Were you with some of those? Because I know a lot of them got stuck in Atlanta, so did you see other riders going through this as well? Really?
A bit of a loner. But I did see some people, as you'll find out in the Am I a Dick segment, did have some interactions, Kellen. 40 hours in the airport, did have some time to mingle with the locals. Some interesting experiences. I have one really funny joke, which would 100% be the start of my stand-up routine if I ever did that. But I can't say it on here because everyone will get offended. So remind me, and I'll tell you my joke afterwards.
All right, I will be sure to remind you. And we have a Am I a Dick coming up, which it's becoming a recurring segment. I feel like we're going to have it sponsored here soon. Let's get into the show, though. Before we do, big thanks to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. And also thank you to Namura here for the Leading provider of engine components in motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades, Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2024 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us at Namura_technologies. And Racetech as well will bring us... we don't really have a fan topic today, but I think that we can kind of mesh some of this stuff together and give them a shout out as well. But thanks to Racetech for 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. All right, topic number 1, and this one is of my own volition. I texted you this, I think, or maybe I told you this on Friday, that I wanted to discuss this because it's a recurring topic that's going on with Chase Sexton now that Jet Lawrence is out. And I said to you, Lewis, that I just simply believe Chase Sexton is Tim Gajser. And the reason I say this is because they're both very good, always in title fights, perhaps underappreciated so because of that, and get it done. Whether it's through someone else getting injured or rising to the occasion or what have you, they're consistently finding ways to win races, battle for a championship, and now in Chase's case, he's going to win an outdoor title. He won a Supercross title. Gajser's case, you would probably argue he's not the best guy. Jeffrey's been really good lately, but Gajser is in a position at the moment where if things stay fairly status quo, he's probably going to win this world championship. So that was my thought about it. What say you?
So the title of this is Chase Sexton is Tim Gajser?
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, that's impossible. They are separate humans. It's not possible for two humans to be the same person and seen in the same location at the same time. So scientifically, this argument falls down almost immediately. Figuratively, I'll entertain the idea. Don't roll your eyes at me. I don't know. I get where you're going with it, but I don't want. I'm like reluctant to sign up for it, and I don't know why.
You know why you're reluctant to sign up for it? Because you do not give Gajser the credit he deserves, sir. No, I'm kidding. I think that the crossover is that. Stop with the thumbs up. You're gonna lose me here. The crossover with these two is that they're underappreciated for what they do, and that is that they are consistently fast. Will throw caution to the wind on a regular basis to try to win, but maybe don't get the credit for that because the outlandish performance that Jet will put on or Eli will put on or Webb sometimes in Supercross or whatever kind of overshadows when Chase has a really good ride. And now Chase obviously has had his moment, which was Hangtown Moto 2. Like everyone's going to go back to that as like that was God tier ride for sure. But Gajser's rides have not gotten the credit that they deserve because Jeffrey's had better ones, for example, and so on and so forth. Don't you feel that that's kind of the same that Chase has to deal with?
So, no, I don't know. I don't know why I'm struggling with this because I get it at its core, but for some reason I'm really struggling to talk about it because there's a bit of a mental block with me in this topic because I get you, but I also feel like this is wildly wrong and I don't know why though.
Okay.
Maybe it's a lack of sleep catching up to me. I think that it's the optics of the situation that lead to Tim not getting the credit he deserves because ultimately, through no fault of his own, he has never... Hold on. He has beaten Jeffrey to a title... Hold on. 15 Hurlings was injured. 16 Hurlings wasn't in the class. 19 Hurlings was injured. 20 Hurlings was injured. 22 Hurlings was injured. So he's never beaten Jeffrey straight up to a title. That's where the optics of Tim's situation warrant some sort of criticism. Maybe not warrant, but that's where it comes from. Chase is too early to have that same sort of record or facts to back up your argument, and that's why I struggle. Because one, you can provide a factual argument for. The other is so early in his career that you can't do that. There's not enough evidence. That's why I'm struggling.
Okay, but I feel like you just walked yourself into a hole right there because you just said that Gajser has not beaten Jeffrey when Jeffrey's healthy. And the argument that people make about Chase all the time and why he maybe doesn't get the credit is he was not going to win the 23 Supercross title until Tomac got hurt.
I disagree with you, Kellen.
You disagree with me. He was 16 points down, losing that main event in Denver, and you think he was going to beat Eli.
It wasn't over.
Okay. But now outdoors.
And crucially, it wasn't over. And as you said, 16 points. In my mind, that's like a wash. Close enough, you know?
It was 2 rounds to go. Stop it.
There have been situations where Tim has been... Well, some situations where Jeffrey hasn't even started the championship. So it's more open to interpretation. Whereas Chase was so close where you're like, well, 16 points here and there.
Okay, so...
I'm juggling, if you don't know.
But again, getting to outdoors this year, there will be criticisms about Chase in this championship. The Jet was not on the track. Whether that's fair or not, that's up to people to decide, because they were tied in points when Jet got hurt and missed the rest of the outdoor season. But Jet won every moto that Chase was on the track last year, and had beaten him they did 10 motos together. He beat him in like 7 or 8. So I don't know. Like, I feel like that's a criticism that they're always going to go back to. And my rebuttal with that is that Chase is, in essence, got a little bit of Chad Reedism going to him, where Chad Reed was really damn good, but didn't get the credit because James and Ricky were on the track, but he still won a lot of titles and a lot of races. And I feel like that's the route that Chase is starting to fall into, because he's going to win this title.
Hard disagree.
Okay, then bring it to me.
Well, Chase is just better than that. He's not backing into this. What Chase is known for is his raw bursts of speed, which goes against the consistent tagline. So you can't be known for your raw bursts of speed and then known as the consistent guy who picks up the pieces. Those are counter against each other.
Yes, but again, to Chad Reed's early career, that was what he was known for, the raw burst of speed to just randomly beat Ricky Carmichael on a given day.
Exactly.
And then he became the guy that, because James and Ricky were beating each other so often, Chad was consistently third, but he was way ahead of everybody else. The same thing I feel about Chase. He was consistently second or third behind Jet to start this outdoor season, but they're 40 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Well, exactly. So you said Chad in his early career. It's too early to talk about this because we don't have enough evidence. So I'm struggling with it because I'm a man of fact, Kellen. like a priest is a man of the cloth. I'm a man of fact. And as a matter of fact, there's not you're making assumptions here, and there's too much assuming and not enough factual evidence to back up your arguments. So I'm struggling with it.
Okay, so I just, again, back to the Gajser point though. Let's say 19 and 20. Those are Gajser's. No, Gajser won the title in 16, 19, 20.
15, 16, 19, 20,
talking
22.
450s. 15 was 250s. 16, 19, 20, 22.
22.
Okay, so 19 and 20, which were his first 2 450 seasons where he had to deal with Jet on the track. Or not Jet, Jeffrey on the track. How did those play out? Was it Jeffrey hurt right away? I'm trying to jog my memory on this. Was Jeffrey hurt early in both championships? Did Tim take him to a certain level?
Wait, when you say got hurt? Wait, what year are you talking about specifically?
19 and 20. The years that Gajser had to race Jeffrey for a championship, sort of. I mean,
19 Hurlings raced one race.
One race.
In the middle of the season. So didn't start, didn't finish.
Okay. 20,
did you say?
And 20, yeah.
Raced for first 7, 6.
Was he leading the world championship?
I want to say yes, but let me just check quickly. Please hold.
Okay, while you do that, again, my point of it, though, is like
maybe
the optics...
you should juggle while I do that.
The optics, over here. Optics of Chase and trying to beat Eli, then beat Jet. Again, I think he is better than people give credit for. That's my whole argument. But I'm just trying to compare the optics.
Okay, call Lewis a hater, or you will. 2020, after Hurlings had missed one round, so he had already given up 50 points at this point, he was still leading the world championship by 22 points.
And then got hurt.
No, this is after he got hurt.
Yeah, but I'm saying and then got hurt after he was leading the world championship, and then Gajser took over.
When he was leading the championship, when he was healthy and leading the championship and all was even, he was 50 points clear. 60 points clear. and that was over Caroli. Gajser was even further back in third. So you've got this evidence that you can present if you want to argue against Gajser. Not saying I am, because now it's turned into me doing that again. Thanks, Kellen. My point is, with Chase, what's your argument? There isn't one.
My argument is that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for being in the mix for these championships, and that's where I feel about Gajser. And again, maybe you don't, but that's how I feel Gajser's career is going to be looked on, is that he's almost a 5-time MXGP world champion, but people will still be like, yeah, but Jeffrey.
No, Gajser gets a lot of credit. I don't see people shit on Gajser too much.
It's not necessarily that they shit on him, but it's kind of like saying, yeah, he may have all the championships, but look who was better than him all along. He just never got it done on a consistent level. I feel like that's how the moniker of Gajser versus Herlings is. And I feel like Gajser gets it done. Jeffrey wins a lot. It's two different ball games.
Fair.
Okay. That's all I was trying to get. Is a fair out of you.
I don't even really know what's happened in the last 7 minutes. I'm tired.
All right, let's get into our second topic, and it kind of goes right into more GP discussions, but I haven't had a chance to listen to the Vital MXGP podcast, but your title of it caught me today, something about a moon landing, and then you told me what it was all about. So I'm just going to let you have the floor with this and talk about Fantic and 55 years since the moon landing.
So I'm really sorry to people who have already listened to the MXGP podcast show, but this is arguably the greatest moment of my life ever and the most entertaining thing I've ever seen. So I'm just going to redo it here because it's fucking brilliant. Fantic had special gear and graphics this past weekend to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the moon landing, which is the most ridiculous themed bike gear combo I've ever heard of in the history of sport. Why the fuck is an Italian team with a Dutch and Dutch rider celebrating the 55th, not the 50th, not the 100th, not the 75th, the 55th anniversary of the moon landing? It literally makes zero sense. They've basically gone, we need to celebrate something. Google anniversary. There's a moon landing coming up. Ridiculous. And not only that, they didn't do anything special. It literally makes zero sense. This encapsulates MXGP. Because that would never happen in America. But in MXGP, we're just like, have the right intention, but execute the wrong way, always. Let's do a themed bike. Great idea. How about the moon landing? You're on the wrong page. Back it up. You know, that's the right idea, completely wrong path.
Yeah. So... Again, I didn't know that this was happening. Did Fantic put out like PRs about this? Did they run it on socials? Like, what was the?
They did a special photo shoot.
What were they saying about it?
Socials. Hold on, it was on. I saw it on MXGP's social media.
Because like, if they had a reason behind it, I could maybe start to understand the logic. But again, like you're saying,
on
Italian
a special mission.
Riders.
On a special mission with our very own astronauts. With fucking great start already. Yep. I mean. Glenn Coldenoff and Brian Bogers aboard their Fantic on the 55th anniversary of the moon landing. We teamed up with Shot Race Gear for a stellar one-off livery and hope you like it as much as we do.
Okay, so it was perhaps a Shot Racing Gear decision? Like maybe Shot wanted to do
I can confirm that it was a Shot Racing Gear decision.
You can't confirm?
I can.
Okay, so Shot had something that they wanted to do and it just tied into the Fantic team. So what does Shot have to do with this? Isn't this a French company? So
yeah, gear company.
Yeah, but what do they have to do with the USA?
Team went, let's celebrate the moon landing with our
That's
riders.
What I'm saying.
Honestly,
because,
if you ever need a job, Kellen, just apply at any marketing department in Europe because it's you just sit there and go, this is a problem I had on the MXGP podcast. I cannot think of an example equivalent to this because my mind cannot work that extravagantly stupid. Can't open my mind to the stupid possibilities around me. I said on the MXGP podcast, someone should turn up with Hitler on their bike. Just, hey, here we are. Ah.
We're back to this path again with you. Okay, so they did this. It doesn't tie in any way. Did it even look?
It's like someone turning up and going, it's for 20th anniversary. It's 50 Cent's birthday this weekend, so we've got a special bike. Like, what?
Okay.
Okay.
It didn't tie in any way with the companies involved and all that. Did it look good? at least?
It's a white bike. It doesn't look any different.
It just looks like an
It's a white
astronaut
bike.
kind of thing. White bike, white gear.
Shiny.
My point with it is let's say Shot is just, all these gear companies are trying to come up with unique ways to get customers involved and whatever. Maybe it's throw the nation colors on it. Listen, I'm just trying to make a point. Nation colors, Shift a while ago did like a San Diego Padres themed gear because it was a San Diego Supercross. But again,
makes sense.
Again, they're just trying to come up with ways to like get customers interested in their gear in unique ways. So if on any level this maybe sells gear because it looks cool for Shot, isn't that considered a win?
If you showed me this gear, I would not tell you it was themed. It looks like a normal set of gear.
And there's nothing on there that says like NASA or astronauts or nothing?
Nope.
Okay, so then I'm a little bit confused.
You can't defend it, Kellen.
I'm just trying to come up with any logic why they would do it.
If I was a lawyer defending this in court, I'd stand up and go, Your Honor, take him away. Wasting my time defending this. Fuck you. Just lock him up. Let's get on with some real crime that we need to handle, defend.
Okay. On the flip side of it,
court.
On the flip side of this whole topic, it was a theme race actually at Washougal, which kind of was, I feel like, under the radar, but it was military appreciation race. They had fighter jets fly over, which was very loud, but really, really cool to see them that close to the ground. And then a lot of teams and riders at Washougal ran military kits or bikes, graphics, stuff like that. What did you think of it, like in terms of the overall look for the teams in the U.S.? And then what of the theme races that the U.S. often does, whether it's St. Jude, military appreciation, they did a retro night at one point, like all of those ones, which one do you think actually hits the mark the best?
I was absolutely blown away. I can't speak. I feel like I'm getting ill. It's because of my travel. I was blown away that Rockstar allowed the team to change the color of the logo.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. Never thought that Rockstar would be so flexible, because as we all know from the past, they were at one point the strictest of strict with their guidelines and posting, and there was essentially no wiggle room to mess with anything Rockstar related. So I was
they still are
shocked by
pretty
that.
strict too. Not as strict, but they still are strict.
Yeah, I'm surprised this got approved. Besides that, if you've seen one military appreciation bike, you've seen them all, no?
Well, I mean, can you see them? They're camouflage, so they just kind of blend in with the environment, no?
Aha.
That really got you going there, Lewis. What about, they used to do the breast cancer theme? Did you like those, like the pink nights and stuff like that?
Honestly, that was so long ago that all I can recall is James having pink answer gear. Answer gear.
Answer.
I'm not doing very well over here.
Okay, you're fine. In Europe, are there any theme ones that they do that you like?
No, we don't do themes except for the moon landing. This is a first for Europe.
Really?
Yep.
Never
Just
a theme race at all?
To my memory, there has never been a themed race.
What about when I think Van Berkel does this? When they like do the Argentina race, a lot of those guys. Well, Seawer did it too, didn't he? Where he had an Argentina jersey or something like that. What about that? Do you like that?
Sure. I mean, that's just the rider coming up with special gear.
Well, yeah, but it's still
That's
like a theme
relevant
to the race.
Audience, not relevant. Like the moon landing does not help anyone. No one. There wasn't a man in the audience shedding a tear because he's like, "That's for me." They knew, you know.
Well,
and it wasn't even obvious.
You know, honestly, your guy though, Seawer, he brought them back to reality. Sad.
What do you mean?
Didn't he take out Bogers?
Oh yes.
He brought them down to earth again.
Long way for Bogers to fall.
It was a long way. It was all the way from the stars and the sky.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, they can do whatever they want. I'm kind of joking, but also how funny. Like, honestly.
I mean, I agree with you because there's zero tie-in. Like, if they had even any slight reason why this would connect together, like if they did some cool collab with NASA, okay, we're getting there. Or if somehow, some way, Shot Gear or Fantic were tied into the launch that happened 55 years ago, again, maybe I get it, but I just don't see how you bridge this gap from U.S. company launches shuttle to space to motocross team 55 years later does a theme about it. So I'm confused in general.
We cannot be taken seriously while stuff like this is going on.
Sad.
We just can't.
We can't. I mean, it makes the sport look a little bit weird, that's for sure. They're probably turning in going, what? Any random fans like, I don't understand that at all. But I don't know.
Fantic, Miss Ball on fantastic livery.
Okay, we have a future headlines enter our show now, or what?
I don't know, just...
All right, let's get into our first non-moto topic of the day. And Lewis, you're just on fire in this show, so we're going to let you keep being on fire. You had your travel woes over the weekend. You said that there would be an Am I a Dick? So what you got for me? What were you a dick about?
I'm tired, so let's rattle through this.
Okay.
So, 4 a.m. in Atlanta Airport, I'm sat or on a chair where you typically sit. Unless you're Fantic, you'd probably fucking sit somewhere random. And I decided to plug in my laptop. There was no one in the plug, so I plugged in my laptop. Tap, tap, tap. This is a routine with the Am I a Dick? Tap, tap, tap. Look over. Yeah? Sorry. I'm like, oh, what are you sorry about? Sorry. I'm just like, what for? I was using that plug. And I was like, but there's no plugs there. Yeah, I was using it earlier. And I was basically like, cool story, bro. Oh.
We got fireworks.
Yeah, I was basically like, cool story, bro. And she was like, no, I'm using that plug. And I was like, no, you weren't. Like, if you were using it, sure, but your plug was nowhere to be seen. You can't just claim it. And then I said, well, there's room for both of us. Like, if you just put yours in the bottom socket, mine can go above it, and we're all happy. And she went, no, I'd rather, I was using it. And I was like, love, what are you playing at? Like, am I being punked again? I mean, this one, I'm certain I wasn't a dick, but...
Yeah, okay, so then what was the solution? What did you do? Did you leave or what?
No, I just left my laptop plugged in, closed my eyes.
And so then she just stopped bothering you with it?
Yep, she walked off. But funnily enough, she was really obsessed with that locket. Fuck me. That socket. Because I left that seat eventually, walked back past it 5 minutes later, and she was back using the socket. So she was so obsessed with this plug.
Yeah. So to the topic of this, I would say, no, you're not a dick. Because if there's an open plug and people are sitting in the airport, like, yeah, it's public, bro. Like, you can't claim the plugs of a public place like this. But to the topic of you being in the airport and a lot of people being there, was it really crowded, or was there like opportunities for you to go find another plug or her to go find another plug? Like,
really crowded.
So you couldn't, like, this was the only plug available for...
No, she could have hustled. I believed in her.
What about you? Could you have hustled?
No, I was tired.
Well, she was probably tired too.
It was the principle of the situation. And I offered the solution that we could both use it, which we could have. And she just wasn't happy with that. I don't know if she felt like my plug had a disease or... Yeah.
No, I would say on this one, I would say not a dick. I think we are on board with you because, like, again, again, the fireworks are killing me, man. For those not watching the video podcast, Lewis keeps double thumbs upping and there's fireworks playing behind
somehow
him.
There's a new setting now where the screen can read my thumbs up and it does a special effect. Crazy. Look at technology.
So I think
Fantic will have a livery to celebrate this next week.
Yep. I think you need to fix your settings on your Mac because I think it's an Apple thing. Anyway, to the topic of this and being in the airport and all that, yeah, it's like, honestly, the flight delays I've realized make everybody insane. Like, you start losing reality very quickly for some reason when flights are delayed and there's cancellations and stuff. And I feel like it's in part because the agents that are there and the people that are supposed to be helping out don't. But don't you feel like when you're 4 a.m. and there's a lot of other shit going on and people are trying to find flights, that's probably why she was like loopy and should have been better?
I'll tell you a weird interaction I had. I made a friend. Unbelievable, I know. Man who was trying to get on the same flight as me every single time. So I kept seeing him. eventually started talking to him. And he went, "Oh, where did you come from?" I went, "Oh, Portland." He went, "What were you doing there?" I said, "Oh, motocross race." I went, "Where did you come from?" And he went, "Rome." I went, "Oh, what were you doing in Rome?" And he went, "Well, I'm a veterinarian." Stopped. And I was like, "Is that..."
That's what you're doing in Rome?
I was just like, what does that mean? Like, is Rome the center for veterinarians? Was there an urgent case in Rome that you needed to fix? Like, literally provided me with zero information. And I just went, cool.
Maybe he thinks you are a motocross then, because he said, "Oh, I was there motocross."
I even stared at him for him to continue, and he just like nodded his head like, "That's all I've got to say." I was like, brilliant, cool. So if you're a veterinarian out there, maybe you should go to Rome, because that seems to be on brand for you people.
I know you haven't maybe dealt with a lot of U.S. flight delays, but do you not agree with me? Like, don't you feel like somehow at airports in particular, people just like are not humans anymore for some reason?
Yeah, there's a lot of dumbasses in the world.
Yeah, but then like delays make it all worse. Like the dials turned up to like 10 after that because people just start freaking out about schedules and am I going to get on a plane and oh, my life's ruined and you got to get us on that. Like, I don't know. People just start freaking out. So that's the only reason I'd give her the benefit of the doubt. Like that situation's probably super unique to that.
Well, proof that I'm not a dick. My veterinarian friend, I let him use my laptop to charge his phone.
Look at you. Good guy, Lewis.
So I was actually providing plugs to people.
Have you ever seen people do the prank in airports where they'll put a sticker on the wall that looks like a plug?
Yes.
And then people go and just start poking at it. That's pretty good. You should have that would have been quality content for you to do that while everyone was delayed if you could have figured out how to do that.
I was so over it that the only thing I was going to do is set up camp in either Portland or Atlanta.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, not a dick. We don't need to spend more time on this topic. That is my decree for this one. Halfway through our show, we're gonna get into some more moto topics in just a second. Before we do, want to give a big thank you to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. All right, second half of our show coming up. And so Monday night, this past 2 days ago now, Ken Roxon was on the Pulp and Beck show, and we had heard that he was thinking about racing Unadilla or a handful of the last couple rounds. He says he's not even 100% in on Unadilla yet, but it sounds likely that he will, as he put it, for Motocross of Nations prep, because he wants to race for Team Germany at Matterley. And then we hear that Webb should be back maybe by Unadilla.
No, Webb is 100%.
But is he in for Unadilla?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, 100% in for Unadilla. And Tomac is now back on the bike. We thought it would maybe be Buds, maybe later, I guess, if he's not going to be 100% by then. But I don't know. He's got a couple weeks. So generally speaking, there might be a situation where they're all three back on the track at the same time. Even so, we're going to see some semblance of all three of them the last 3 rounds of outdoors. Give me some moto scores, Lewis. Where do these guys fit back in once they come back racing again?
Roxon will be second or third. My indecisive point is whether he is better than Hunter or not. Depends on whether Hunter is healthy or still struggling a little bit. Second or third, certainly podium. Webb will be fourth or fifth. He'll be in the AP Anderson group, mixing it up. Tomac, I really don't know. I really don't.
You're just up in the air about it.
It's not. It will be his first outdoor in 2 years. So there's a lot more to unpack there than just returning from injury.
Well, I mean,
it's Tomac, so he could be amazing. But
yeah,
2 years.
But on the topic of Tomac, obviously we talked last week about Dylan Ferrandis criticizing the Yamaha, the new platform outdoors, didn't gel with it, etc. Justin Cooper has kind of said some of the same things this year, where when they went east, he struggled to find comfortability with the bike again. Like out west, he wasn't very comfortable, and then found settings, went east, and then was uncomfortable again. So it seems that there's a hard balance to find with the Yamaha, and the last time Tomac raced was on the old platform. If he comes back, and let's say he's 100%, do you think the bike is part of the problem for why he might not do as well?
That's so hypothetical. That's so
because he hasn't tested on it at all.
But like, you've gone so far down the fantasy land road there, because there's like if he comes back, if he doesn't do well, can he blame the bike? Like we're so far down the hypothetical road. If he comes back and if he cases a double, fuck, honestly.
Do you want to know why I'm saying this though? Because the general consensus is that everyone that I've talked to is like Tomac will come back and battle for wins. And so I don't think so either. But I'm trying to come up to a reason why. And I think that, yes, fitness and not being back to 100% will be part of it. I also think, like you said, not racing outdoors in 2 years will be part of it. But he also hasn't raced this bike outdoors. So he hasn't even been on this platform. And we saw racing it in Supercross, he adapted quicker. So I don't necessarily see that as much of a problem. But it could be something that we have to talk about.
Tomac will go 5-3, 3-5.
Okay.
That'll be his moto scores in some order.
Think so. Roczen has been on the bike, what did he say, for a month now or so?
I don't know.
Because he obviously had the injury that ended his Supercross season, so he is as well coming off an injury, but he's also not racing outdoors full time, so this doesn't make a difference. But we saw him last year more or less come off the couch, lead a handful of laps at High Point, finish second to Jet. Unadilla is a really good track for Kenny too. You said that he would be in the Hunter range. Do you think that there's a world where Roczen is kind of similar to what he did last year and maybe even wins a moto?
Wins a moto, probably not, but I could see him leading laps. For, going with Chase not going with Chase because most likely Chase will be starting edge of the top 5. So I could see a world where Roczen sprints away and Roczen is the carrot that Chase has to run down.
Okay, I could see that as well. I feel like Unadilla specifically is why I lean Roczen doing better than maybe what you said. I could see him battling for a moto win even, for sure. I agree with you on Webb, though. I think Webb is not going to be really, I don't want to say in the mix, but I think he's going to be like, of all the 3 that come back, the one that struggles the most to get into the flow of it, which is probably a good thing because I think he'll be really good in SMX, but he probably needs these 3 races to get going again. We've talked about how these guys, they come back, they probably won't contend, how this affects their Motocross of Nations challenge to get on Team USA potentially. Do you think that them coming back is crucial for SMX or no?
Crucial for their competitiveness in SMX?
Well, just to try to win SMX.
Yeah, you have to get one gate drop in. I mean, then again, with the double, triple points, maybe you can use round 1 as the throwaway gate drop. Let me just figure this out. But there's a weekend off between outdoors and SMX, so better to get your feet wet and then use that weekend off to work on what you learn and then come into SMX further ahead, still use the first one to maybe, dabble, see what you can improve on, but you're automatically a couple of weeks ahead of the game. There's no point. If you're ready to go racing, go race.
Right. Well, like Roczen said, he's like 12th in SMX standings. He doesn't think he's going to get higher or anything like that. So he doesn't care about seeding for the first round, especially because it's single, double, triple points. But I do think that we saw last year with these guys, the struggles that they had at round 1 never went away. Like if you were not comfortable at the opening round of SMX, you were also not comfortable by the end, I think.
No. Jet went like 8-8 at the first one and then won the championship.
Well, okay, but that outlier. Jet is an outlier because everyone else, Webb wasn't comfortable, stayed uncomfortable. Roczen came in comfortable and was comfortable the whole time. Like guys like that, they stayed where they started, except the guy that is the alien that just went perfect outdoors and probably didn't test for SMX even once.
I don't know. I don't feel like you can just throw Jet out like that. I've given you a perfect counter argument. He's Jet. Yeah, if we were talking about Kevin Moran's, then using Jet is a not unfair comparison. But we're talking about Tomac, Webb, Roczen. They are in the same category as Jet, so therefore it's relevant.
Okay. Does your intrigue heighten to have these guys back, or is it like? Of course. Okay. I don't know.
It's not going. I don't think it's really going to change much. I think Chase will probably win out, but still adds to the intrigue. Another rider to talk to, another storyline to follow, another thing to talk about on this podcast because we're running thin. So yeah.
Just out us right there, huh, Lewis? All right, yeah, I agree. I agree with the sentiment that Roczen will probably be the best. When Tomac comes back, he'll be a little better than Webb, but they'll both probably struggle a little bit. But they do need the gate drops for sure. All right, let's get into our last moto topic of the day. I'm kind of keen to see what you say about this, because as an American fan, I have a way that I feel about GP riders racing, or US riders racing in GPs. When I really started paying a lot of attention to the GPs is when Zacho went. So Jack Chambers is not necessarily having a bad year, but obviously just had a really bad weekend at the Czech Republic. He had a big crash. Was that Moto 1 that happened? Moto 1, and so out for the rest of the day with a bad concussion. But you said that you don't, well, the question is basically like, why does no one care that Jack Chambers is racing GPs? But what about this leads you to feel that way, or what have you when you talk about him? Is it just people not responding, or what?
No, I just haven't seen much fanfare. No one really mentions on social media that there's an American doing the full season, which is a rarity nowadays. And I mean, okay, he's not been top 10, so maybe no one cares because the results haven't been there. That's fair. But I still would have expected there to be some sort of, hey, look at Jack Chambers go, you know? Hope he does well. Let's cheer for Jack Chambers. Oh, you know, like, but then again, I guess he wasn't really that guy here either. He didn't really have much fanfare. So I think that just translates over, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, so let's go from now kind of chronologically backwards. The last, like, what I would say American that was someone that the U.S. audience should have really paid attention to was Covington, who we talked about on the last show. But he was a Grand Prix winner. So there was more expectation for fans to maybe be interested in his performance over there. Do you feel that back then there was a sentiment of fans in the US side carrying that Covington was there?
No, you know what? I feel like it was still less than it should have been.
Yeah.
I still feel like there was less like, look at Covington go, that's our guy, cheer for Covington, how's Covington going to do? I hope he gets it done. I'm going to go to a GP to support Covington, you know? I felt like there was still less of that. But again, I would point to the reason for that being he never raced in America. So in essence, he was almost European because he never raced in America professionally.
Okay. So yeah, again, going through this kind of list of Americans that have gone over there, the last, obviously, marquee name that everyone will probably remember doing GPs is Ryan Villopoto. And there was a ton of fanfare behind that. What?
I forgot. I thought you were going to go Osborne. I completely forgot that was on the list.
No. So Ryan Villopoto races GPs after Supercross in 2014, retires, but then races the 2015 GP season, wins Thailand, and then breaks his coccyx and retires officially. That was a whole different story, and I'm keen to know from fans listening to this if this maybe skewed your perspective on Americans moving forward, because when Ryan Villopoto goes and races GPs as a full-time thing, that's a big deal. Everyone should care about that. But then when it's not the top guy, I wonder if they don't have as much interest in it anymore after that. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not someone that they have watched like his entire career win a bunch of races and goes over there, it kind of softens the expectations that everyone following him that would go there, like Covington, Sinai, all these guys that start their careers there. It's not as interesting because it's not Ryan Villopoto.
Yeah, but Jack Chambers isn't starting his career.
Okay, but you get what I mean. It's Jack Chambers isn't Ryan Villopoto, doesn't have the career behind him. So if it's not that guy going over there, the fans may be a little jaded to it.
Yeah, ultimately, the best way to sum this up is there is less interest in riders outside the top 10 in this sport than arguably any other. So the results aren't exciting, so people aren't on board with it, and that's that.
Yeah. So as an American fan, I can tell you that, like, following Osborne, at the same time, Jimmy Albertson was also racing over there, and it was kind of cool to, when I was younger, wake up and watch those guys race in Europe. And what I feel like had a similar feel to it that went terribly, just the reality of the situation, was when Jimmy Dakotas went over to fill in at CLS Kawasaki, there was similar fanfare for him going, and it just didn't work out. And I feel like that, again, kind of jaded people for guys going over there to compete. It was like, yeah, look what Jimmy did. Someone, Jimmy's a talented guy, but he didn't compete very well over there. So,
yeah, it just makes you less excited because there's less unknown because there's enough evidence now to suggest, well, if Jimmy Dakotas didn't do well, why would Jack Chambers?
Exactly. That's
so there's
what I
less
mean.
intrigue.
Well, but Jack Chambers, as you said, like it hasn't been amazing, but I feel like he's been pretty good for what Jack Chambers is. No, like isn't
I feel
that
like
kind
he's
of
almost peak Jack Chambers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, shouldn't that almost be part of the intrigue? If you're an American fan and you like American racers specifically, you're seeing a guy that is developing quite well over there now, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but again, for whatever reason, this sport doesn't really celebrate that. We don't really pay, like, there's not a ton of interest in guys outside the top 10. It's one of the biggest shortcomings of our sport. And I don't know how you change that, but Jack Chambers falls into the same category.
Well, maybe when you, I don't know if he'll be back in time, but when you go to Lommel, maybe you should have
I'm not going to Lommel. It's literally 2 days away, Kellen.
Oh, well, never mind. What happened? I thought you were going.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I spent 40 hours getting back from Washougal. So,
But didn't you? I thought you had flights booked.
No.
Oh, sad. Anyway, well then we will not hear from Lewis Phillips interviewing Jack Chambers. Not happening. We're not going to get in-depth interviews with him about it.
What about Gavin Towers? No one's really talking about that either.
Yeah, but that's also another thing where like, oh yeah, this is awesome, and then you saw what happened in MX2, and now we're kind of like back to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I guess.
Because like, okay, what did he do? 6-2, 2-6 in Germany that one weekend?
Yeah, yep.
And then not even in the points when he raced MX2, I thought, right? So
I can't remember. I feel like he got some points, but maybe not.
But that's what I mean is like, as you put it, if Chambers isn't battling for top fives, where's the intrigue?
Yeah.
People are just like, yeah, he's a 10th place guy. I don't need to tune in to see that because especially for Americans watching, are they going to ever show Chambers if he's in 12th? Probably not, right? So all you're doing is looking at a scrolling bar.
This is also a fundamental issue with MXGP, but that's another topic.
Oh, do you want to go in on that then?
No, this is dragged out. We're done with this topic.
Okay, gosh, Lewis, I just wanted to see if you wanted to talk about the TV. Steve wants us to talk about TV. Honestly,
I didn't even do a thumbs up. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's get into our final topic of the day. This might be a short show, but all right, so this one you kind of threw right here at the end. It's a non-moto topic, but it does have to do with our work because we both worked in the moto industry pretty much our entire professional careers. So far in your career, Lewis, what has been the best work trip you've ever done?
You can go first.
Okay. Best work trip I've ever done has to do with Start Your Systems. And it's obviously been a ton of fun doing all the moto stuff, moto industry stuff that I do. But Start Your Systems, they had a game launch for MXGP 2019 in Austria in 2019. And they invited me and my wife to come out. We spent a whole week, 2 days in Germany, 4 or 5 days in Austria. We got to tour the KTM facility, inside all the factory and everything like that, the KTM Moto Hall. They had the press launch for the game at the KTM Moto Hall. I rode an electric bike on the KTM test track in Mattighofen. And then we had dinner and this nice whole breakfast spread and everything like that with the game developers 2 nights in a row, and actually met the granddaughter who started KTM and hung out with her a little bit. The whole thing was awesome. It was all paid for, and it was just a press event launch. Like, it quite literally could have just been them sending a packet of here's the game information to us, but they instead flew us all out there and gave us this whole awesome thing. And it just felt the most like VIP experience I've probably ever had.
What did they get out of this? Like, what did you do in return?
Well, I was always producing content in their games and talking about them and doing reviews of the game and showcasing what different gameplay features they have of it. So it was kind of like a pseudo, hey, you're marketing for us without us paying you, so can we give you something in return? Like, that's kind of how these launches always are when it comes to gaming stuff. So, yeah.
Well, maybe you need to get back on that.
Well, I'm trying.
Maybe gaming is your niche.
Maybe.
Mine, I don't really have a good one, but this one came to mind. So in the COVID year, there was a Turkish GP and then a Spanish GP. And the way that the COVID laws were, you couldn't return to the UK from Turkey. So instead, I had to go straight from Turkey to Spain for the next GP, which rarity meant just downtime in Spain waiting for the GP. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a short explanation, but yeah.
Well, what'd you do? You don't have it. You didn't go
just
do
chilled
stuff.
out. Just chilled out. I just remember being quite at peace. Like it was unexpected because normally I'd go home, rush around for 2 days, and then get on another flight. It was quite nice arriving at the race on a Monday and then just waiting. Sit by the pool, sit at the beach.
Okay, so you did go to the beach.
Yeah.
Then you utilized the Spanish coastline. Did you go?
Utilized the Spanish coastline. Fuck me! What a quote! What a quote! Wow.
You said that you could not go back to the UK. Were there also riders that are either that lived in the UK or were based in the UK at that time that also had the same schedule as you?
No, they don't exist.
Conrad Muse was always in Belgium when he was racing GPs?
Yeah, everyone's in Belgium. That doesn't exist.
So there was quite literally nobody that was on the same schedule as you. You were the only guy that was randomly there on a Monday.
Ray Archer was there.
Oh, so there you go. You guys talked about whoosh bays?
Yes. No, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it sticks out. Just I guess it was a change of pace. Change from the norm. So it sticks out. It's like, oh, it was nice to have a change of the norm. Bit boring, but hey, not everything can be a banger.
What to kind of
utilized the Spanish coastline. Honestly.
It's gonna be the title of the podcast.
Honestly, I can't even believe who would have ever thought that going to the beach could be described in such a way? Who would have thought? So let us know, dear listeners. Are you utilizing any coastlines this weekend? Honestly, wow. Wow. That's trumped the moon landing for me.
Oh, okay. We're in that territory now.
Yeah. Wow. Utilized the Spanish coastline.
Okay. Have you ever had events that you went to that were like press launches or whatever, like I was talking about, that were like kind of blew your mind or anything along those lines?
Not that I can really recall, other than testing the KTM at Majora or the Husqvarna at Budds Creek.
Well, so for those, when you did the Husqvarna at Budds Creek, did they flew you to the US, right, to do that?
I actually walked.
Shut up. You know what I mean? Did they actually have like a whole, here's a big welcome thing, like we're staying at the hotel, we have a press thing, like all that?
Yeah, and the hotel, the room keys had Husqvarna on them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite a nice touch. Doesn't stick out as much as me utilizing the Spanish coastline though.
Stop it.
Honestly,
you're too deep on this.
Me?
I said one phrase. You're taking it over the top.
It's just, I've never heard anything like it. The people will agree in the comments, trust me.
Okay,
yeah, but I was more stressed about having to ride Majora in the rain and all of that on these occasions. Wasn't really able to enjoy it.
The only reason I ask is because I feel like from an outsider's perspective, and we talked about this, I think, on the last show of like what would our younger selves think of us? Like, I always envisioned that being like part of the cool perks of this sport, is that, you know, we get to ride the machines, but we also maybe get to do like these cool events. So is that something where when you first got to do that, you genuinely thought like, all right, like this is cool. Like I've made it into something that I wanted to do.
No, because bike testing was never what I wanted to do. So it didn't really have that. And I've not really, to my memory, I must be missing one, but I've not really had what you had, which was just solely press launch. Had to ride the bikes, which was I never dreamt of being a test rider. So I was just like, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I just mean because, like, you know, again, riding the bike aside, the whole event, because like I've done those ones as well, like you're talking about, where they fly you out and it's a whole cool thing. And yeah, like that totally, to me, makes you feel like, okay, yeah, you're pretty established in the industry because this is how the manufacturers that basically pay for this entire sport treat you. Like that's pretty cool.
What, you're talking bike test wise?
No, I'm talking about the way that they handle those events.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like to be part of that and be established enough that they consider you good enough to come.
No, not
do
really,
that.
because they just tell an outlet to send someone.
Yeah, but you're in one of those outlets that's good enough.
Yeah, I guess. So it's not like the manufacturers are like, we want you. It's more like, hey, Moto Online, send someone. Let us know who you're sending. And then you could send anyone.
Fair enough.
Obviously, we can't send you. You're too busy utilizing the Spanish coastline.
Yeah, well, I'm going to utilize the end of this podcast well. We got 5 minutes to try to get through. But anyway. I
didn't realize we were that on the clock.
Yeah, bro. What I wanted to ask, though, is you seem to like... you've had these experiences at these races, and you've enjoyed, like, you've had moments already in your life where it's been like, this is freaking cool. Like I'm at Anaheim 1, for example, or whatever.
Yeah.
What of those moments would you say is the one moment that stands out the most to you?
I guess Anaheim 1.
Yeah.
Every year. Yeah.
Well, but when you came to the first
new beginning. I can barely remember that. My memory isn't that good. But yeah, Anaheim 1 every year is kind of like a new year, new beginning. Oh, look, I'm here again. Still made it, unbelievably.
Still made it. Still kicking.
Yeah. It's like surviving a video game. Oh, look, I didn't die.
Yep. Don't have to hit respawn. All right, cool. We got 2 weeks off coming up. It's a long break. Loretta's. Lewis, you going to go to Tennessee?
No, I can't think of anything worse.
Or would you ever go to Loretta's one day to cover it?
What am I going to do there? I struggle to just do it and be like, let's see what happens. Like, I need a purpose.
Okay. Just asking a question, bro.
Like, I'm equally not flying to Washougal if I don't have a purpose.
What if your purpose is to cover the top amateurs?
Yeah, but also, what am I going to say to them?
I don't know.
How was the track? Like, no one cares how the track was.
Yeah.
Unless if I've got a real good story to do, then yeah, it's worth it. But otherwise, like, hey, did you like your bike? Like, who do you want to thank? Like, I don't need to fly to Tennessee to find out that this kid wants to thank his mum and dad. We're good.
All right, fair enough. What are you going to do for the 2 weeks then? Chilling?
I've actually got plans, Kellen.
Well, cool. I'm just seeing what you're up to, man.
I don't know if I'll be able to fit you in for another podcast.
That's all right. I got some traveling to get done too. So,
where are you going?
This weekend, I am going up the California coastline. I'm utilizing it quite well. And then the weekend
You're going
after
back to Portland?
No. The weekend after that, I'm spending like 5 days in Utah. So.
Oh, look at Start Your Systems guy. Big vacation guy.
Yeah, well, vacation that was planned a long time ago. But yes, trying to utilize some time off and enjoy it. So, yeah, we're probably not going to do a show next week, but it happens. We'll get back to the action when Unadilla comes around the schedule August 10th. So we'll have a show that week. Talk about hopefully some guys coming back from injuries and getting ready to race again and maybe finalizing these championships, building towards Motocross of Nations and SMX and all the funsies alike. Lewis, thanks for joining me on the show. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Still kicking.
Still kicking.
Hope you're doing well, Kellen. Hope you're okay.
I will once I utilize the California coastline this week.
Stay strong, yeah?
Big thanks to EVS Sports, Namura, and Race Tech for backing the show. Appreciate all the support that they have, as well as you guys for listening. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks to talk Unadilla and more. So long for now.